Have you ever noticed your tinnitus gets worse when you're stressed or maybe after eating certain foods? You're not imagining that. A recent study found that a specific gut bacteria may influence the risk of developing tinnitus. The source of the ringing in your ears might not just be in your ears, but also in your gut. Today we're going to explain that connection in tinnitus and why your ears might not be the real source of that sound. But here's the issue. Most clinicians are still only treating the surface symptoms of tinnitus, but all potential causes are rarely discussed. In this video, I'll break down the new science behind what some researchers are calling the gut-brain-ear axis and what it could mean for managing your tinnitus moving forward. I'm Dr. Lynn Garrett, founder of Timpanogos Hearing and Tinnitus in Utah, and for years my team and I have worked with patients struggling with tinnitus, and this gut-brain connection is just one of the most promising developments we've ever seen. Because for millions of people, this emerging research could offer something tinnitus sufferers rarely hear, and that is hope. If you're watching this, you probably already know that tinnitus is more than just a sound. It's that constant, unwelcome companion that follows you into quiet rooms. It's the anxiety that spikes when that tinnitus gets a little louder, and it's the frustrating nights spent staring at the ceiling wishing for just one moment of silence. For the estimated 14% of adults worldwide who experience this, the journey for answers is often deeply frustrating. You've likely been from doctor to doctor, you've had your hearing checked, and maybe you've been told it's just part of aging or the result of some noise exposure. The advice you can get can be disheartening. Learn to live with it, mask it with other sounds, try to ignore it. And let's be real, when someone says to just ignore it, I want to scream. I've heard from so many patients who've gone from place to place who feel just completely brushed off. And this is where traditional tinnitus treatments often miss the root cause. While therapies like sound therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, and linear are incredibly helpful for managing the perception of tinnitus, they don't always address a potential root cause. This leaves you wondering, could there be something deeper at play here? This feeling of being dismissed has pushed people to look for their own answers. It's fueled by a quest for a link that medicine might have overlooked. That quest has led to researches to one of the most complex and powerful systems in our body, the gut. What they're finding is more than just a coincidence. It's a clue that could shift how we understand how tinnitus might begin. For years, the link between gut health and brain function, that gut-brain axis, has been gaining serious scientific momentum in areas from mood to immunity. But the idea that it could extend to the ears was kind of a fringe concept. That's starting to change now, partly thanks to a recent Mendelian randomization study. This kind of study is a clever genetic research method. I know it sounds like something you'd probably sleep through in a college lecture. I actually had to read it 3 times just to wrap my head around it too. But think of it like a detective using family DNA to solve a case. Instead of just finding 2 things at the scene of a crime, like an association, it helps to determine if one thing actually caused the other. Now, this recent study used a massive genetic database to act as that detective, looking for evidence that gut bacteria are directly linked to tinnitus risk. And the risks were intriguing. The study identified potential links between specific gut bacteria and tinnitus risk. For example, think of your gut as a garden. A higher abundance of a bacteria called Peribacteroides distenosus, a helpful gardener, was linked to a lower risk of tinnitus. On the other hand, higher levels of a bacteria like Egrithella acted more like weeds. Those were linked to an increased risk of tinnitus. It's really important to be clear here. The authors themselves state these are preliminary insights that still need more research to be validated. So while this is not definitive proof, it's a scientifically promising new direction in treating tinnitus. It suggests that a specific balance of gardeners and weeds in your gut garden might influence your risk of tinnitus. So how could bacteria in your gut possibly influence the sound in your ears? The answer may lie in a proposed communication network that some researchers are calling the gut-brain-ear axis. Think of it as a 3-way conference call between your gut, your brain, and your auditory system, with traffic running between all 3. This communication seems to happen in a few critical ways. First, neurotransmitter production. Your gut is oftentimes called the second brain for a reason. Its microbes produce many of the same neurotransmitters that your brain uses. One of the most important of these is GABA, G-A-B-A, which acts like a brake pedal to calm your nervous systems. Low levels of GABA have been associated with tinnitus, where the auditory part of the brain can become overexcited. Without enough GABA, it's like the brake lines to your brain's auditory system have been cut and the noise just won't stop. Certain beneficial bacteria are known as GABA producers, so if they're in short supply, the brain's volume knob might just get stuck on high. Second, neuroinflammation. An unhealthy gut can lead to what's called leaky guts. Imagine the lining of your gut is a high security fence. In a leaky gut, that fence gets holes in it. This allows inflammatory molecules, the troublemakers, to escape into your bloodstream. Then these troublemakers can travel to the brain and start fires, triggering neuroinflammation, which is inflammation of the brain and the nervous system. This inflammation can disrupt the delicate processing of sound. In fact, neuroinflammation in the auditory cortex is considered a key feature in tinnitus development. Third, the vagus nerve. This is the physical information superhighway connecting the gut directly to the brain. It's like a direct phone line telling the brain what's happening down in the gut. An inflamed gut can send constant emergency SOS signals up the vagus nerve, and that puts the brain on high alert, contributing to the state of overexcitement that scientists believe is the engine behind tinnitus in the first place. When you put these three mechanisms together, the faulty brake pedal, the fires of inflammation, and the constant SOS signals, a picture emerges of how imbalance in the gut could create the perfect storm for tinnitus to begin. What makes this emerging science so powerful is that it helps explain many common experiences of tinnitus sufferers that previously were a mystery. This explains how stress, diet, and tinnitus are all connected through the gut. So again, have you ever noticed your tinnitus getting worse when you're stressed? We know that stress has a direct negative impact on the gut. This new science suggests that the flare-up you experience might not just be in your head, it could be a physiological response starting in your gut. And what about diet? Many people with tinnitus report that certain foods seem to make their ringing louder. A diet high in processed foods and sugar is known to feed those inflammatory gut bacteria that are the troublemakers. For years, we've included gut health and nutrition in how we support tinnitus patients. It's just made sense. But now, we're not just relying on clinical intuition. We've got growing science behind us, and it's really exciting. I had a patient recently who cut sugar for 2 weeks just as an experiment. The result? Their tinnitus didn't disappear, but the volume did dial down for the first time in years. Not a miracle, but a clue, and one that lines up with what the science is now starting to show. This gut-brain-ear axis also provides a potential explanation for why tinnitus is so often linked to other conditions like anxiety, depression, and sleep. So let's talk about the ways you can support the gut-brain-ear axis. Real science-backed steps you can take now. This is the most important part of the video because this science isn't just interesting, it's also empowering. Again, remember this is not a cure, but this new understanding gives us concrete steps to potentially help manage those tinnitus symptoms and create a calm, balanced internal environment. Here are some practical evidence-based strategies to support your gut health. First and most important is diet. Think of yourself as the head gardener of your gut. You can start by increasing your fiber intake from a diverse range of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, nuts, and legumes. Fiber is the primary food for beneficial gut bacteria. Next, incorporate some prebiotic and probiotic foods. Prebiotics found in things like garlic, onions, and asparagus are like the fertilizer for your good bacteria. Probiotics are the new seeds, live beneficial bacteria found in fermented foods like kefir and kimchi, sauerkraut, and high-quality yogurt. Also, consider the power of healthy fats, specifically omega-3s found in fatty fish and flax seeds. Omega-3s are powerful anti-inflammatories and support both the gut and brain health. At the same time, limiting processed foods, excessive sugar, artificial sweeteners can help stop you watering the weeds in your gut. Let's be real, these strategies aren't a quick fix. Tending to your internal garden will take some time and consistency. And I get it. I've tried the clean eating thing before. It's not always easy, especially when the stress kicks in and the Doritos start to call. You can also practice managing your stress. Things like mindfulness, meditation, deep breathing, or gentle yoga aren't just for relaxation. They can help you calm that gut-brain superhighway and reduce those inflammatory SOS signals. Also, prioritize sleep. Your gut and brain do their repair work overnight. Poor sleep can harm gut health and may increase tinnitus severity. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep every single night. And you might want to consider targeted supplements, but always talk to a healthcare provider first. Specific probiotic strains and other nutrients like magnesium are being studied for their roles in nervous system health and reducing inflammation. These 4 strategies represent a hopeful and proactive path forward, shifting the focus from just masking the tinnitus to addressing the underlying systemic issues that might be contributing to it. We're learning more about this every single day, and what's coming out now is confirming things we've seen in real life for years. If this video resonated with you, please hit subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any new updates. But more importantly, I want to hear your story. Have you noticed your tinnitus get louder after stress or certain foods? What changes have helped you? Drop your experience in the comments below. If you want to dig deeper into the science or learn practical ways to calm your tinnitus or treat your hearing loss, you can visit our free online learning center. We've built resources there to help you connect to new real-world findings and lasting results. And if you're here in Utah and want to take the next step with an expert who actually listens, we'd love to help you explore your options. You don't have to figure this out alone. I'll put links in the notes below. As research continues to evolve, we'll keep exploring the future of tinnitus and gut health right here on this channel. For decades, the message to tinnitus sufferers has often been one of passive acceptance, but the science is starting to change that. The emerging idea of a gut-brain-ear axis represents a paradigm shift, moving tinnitus from just being an ear problem to a whole body condition that we may be able to influence. The knowledge that the state of your gut could be playing a role is incredibly empowering. It gives us a new target. It gives us a new sense of control. By nourishing our gut, managing our inflammation, and calming our nervous system, we are not just learning to live with it. We are actively creating the conditions for our bodies to find a better balance and hopefully more silence. This is a new frontier in tinnitus research, one that is filled with hope, and it all starts not in the ear, but in the gut. Thanks for watching.